Hi, so welcome to this podcast again. My name is Amber, and I'm your host, just talking and telling you about things that I've found helpful in my homeschool. So, today I'd like to talk a little bit about organizing the homeschool and how to get everything done. Okay, so bottom line is, I'm sorry to say this, I tried years and years to figure out the solution. But the bottom line is that there's only so many hours in the day, and either you have to delegate some of your tasks, or you just have to accept not being able to get everything done that you want to get done. Or in other words, you have to prioritize. So, um, some of the best advice I got from a veteran homeschool mom who she was amazing and her kids were amazing, and she had like 7 of her own and then adopted 8 more. But anyway, she said your main attention always needs to go to whoever is learning how to read, because once the kids know how to read, then you can assign them things to read and you can have them tell you about it. Then they can start to write papers. Once they can read on their own, the world is open to them. To they'll be able to learn. And that's really the whole point of education, is teaching people how to learn and how to be their own people and how to solve problems and how to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. So, with your early readers and your young learners, the ones who are just learning how to read, write, and do basic math, they need your attention. The older kids, once they know how to read, once they can do basic math, they actually are able to do a lot of things on their own. And then it's just a matter of making sure that they have the supplies, the books, the pencils, the calculators, the tools, whatever it is that they need, and then making sure that they actually follow through and do it. And so then it doesn't seem quite so overwhelming. For years and years, the other thing that is really, really helpful is a printed list, so they know exactly what is required of them every day and for the week. And I also give my kids assignments for the week. So, you do history 3 times a week, you do spelling 3 times a week, you do science 3 times a week, you do math 4 to 5 times a week, depending on if you're behind or ahead. Required reading is every day. What else do we do? French is every day, piano is every day. And then art is 2 times a week, and you do a report once a week, write a story once a week, do a history report from your required reading for history once a week. When you finish a book, I want a book report. So it sounds like a lot of stuff, but when it comes down to it, it actually doesn't even take them that long, especially once they are used to it. Usually the first time you introduce something new for your kids to do, they will fight back, so a lot of times for the first time they have to do something, you will have to walk them through. But once they can see how to do it, it's not so bad. And they'll just, it's just like anything else. Like, the first time that you have a little kid wash dishes, they're not going to want to do it. Oh, it's so hard. They're rolling on the ground. I can't do it. But, you stick it out, you sit with them, you help them through it, and then they see, oh, I can do it. So then the next time, instead of spending most of the time whining and crying on the floor, they will just go get it done, especially when they know you're serious. And the great thing for me is my kids love video games. So they'll do just about anything to play video games. And so it's great because we get the house clean, they get their schoolwork done. It's awesome. But if any of them didn't like video games, and my oldest girl wasn't really into video games, so I would find other things for her, like, well, if you want to go to your friend's house, or whatever. It also helps to have rewards for them. I think I already talked about that. So anyway, so that is organizing the homeschool on the academic side. I also include chores. They're supposed to clean their room every day. They need to brush their teeth every day. They need to make their beds every day. Which of course, it all comes down to how much you're willing to put up with, because they will test your limits. And my personality, I've found that I do really well for a while. I'll do really well for like 2 weeks, keeping the house clean and making sure everybody gets their stuff done, and then I just can't do it anymore. And then I have to take some time off. For me, I have to have a break. And then when I have a break and I get to work on my own projects and do my own things, then I feel a lot better. Or, if there's an area of the house that really needs attention, like I will do better the next day and we'll end up getting a lot more done if I just go ahead, don't beat myself up, go and do that project. That kind of happened to me today. I just needed some downtime, some time for me to do some of my own projects. And so I kind of put school aside a little bit. The kids know they still have to get their stuff done, but we didn't have group time today. I do group time I try to do it 3 times a week. Sometimes we get in 4 times a week. The schools around here have Wednesdays off, and so we usually meet some of our friends at the park on Wednesdays, and so I generally don't do group time on Wednesdays. For years and years when my kids were little, we've been doing 5 days a week because, like I explained in another video, they all went to public French school last year, and so they're all a little bit behind and everything. So we're doing 5 days a week this year, and we'll probably, when we get to our summer schedule, we do 2 or 3 days a week. And when they were younger, or if they're ahead, if we're doing good on our academics, then we just do 4 days a week. And that usually works out pretty well. For video games, they are great motivators, but they are also big time sinks, especially if I use it as a reward for getting work done or doing something extra. Like a lot of times if my kids finish their work really, really fast and I look and it was good, like then I know that they're ready to do something else. So I'll I'll give them another book or do more spelling, or you need to do more reading or something. Anyway, where was I going with that? So anyway, oh yes, so sometimes if they're doing something new and it was really hard and I really want them to do it, like a couple weeks ago my son was practicing the C scale on the piano, and I said, if you can play that C scale perfectly, I'll give you 30 extra minutes and you can play them today. Because usually we leave video games for Friday and Saturday. And that's nice, except for when they use up the laptops. But now I have my own. And so then I don't mind, because then I can do stuff on the computer while they're playing. We're all happy. But anyway, we've found that it works better to just leave it for Friday and Saturday. Because, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot. Because I told the one, if you learn the scales, you can play, 30 minutes right when you learn it. And so then, of course, the other kids, well, I want to learn the scales. And then the younger ones who aren't doing piano yet, well, what can I do to earn 30 minutes? And it's just like a big can of worms that nobody wants to open. And that is really hard to close. And so I told them I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, if you only have 1 or 2 kids, that would work. That would work fine. You can do it a lot more, just whatever works for the kid. But when you have a bunch of kids, they'll just watch each other. They won't do anything else. They'll just sit and watch whoever's playing video games, and so then that counts as much. So we made a rule too that if you're watching someone play video games, that counts as at least half of your minutes. So then they try not to watch at least. So when my kids were little, I tried to do school with them in the morning because that's when they were the most ready. And then we would have rest time in the afternoon, which was the best thing ever because the baby would go down for a nap. And then I would tell the older kids, I would tell them, you have to stay in your room. You can play nicely. Well, you can play with your toys that are in your room, and you can color, and you can look at books, and you can do puzzles. And I had some audiobooks that they could listen to too. And so that would keep them busy, but they were not to bother me because, when you have a baby, you're not sleeping all the way through the night. And so a lot of times I would just go take a nap. When the babies started sleeping through the night, I didn't need that afternoon nap as much. But it still was so nice to have that time to just kind of relax. Now, my youngest is 5. I don't have babies anymore. I don't really need a nap anymore. So we don't do rest time. We haven't done rest time for years. But what we do now is I have them try to get all their work done before lunch. All the stuff that they can do by themselves before lunch. And then well, we've had French lessons, so I spend a lot of time sitting in French lessons and helping them with those in the morning. And then I really like it when I can do 20 minutes and we'll do like a 5-minute drill multiplication tables because my twins are working on those. And I can help the 5-year-old write his letters, and everybody can get all their copy work written out. And then what else? Oh, and then I do little kids group time, which is little kids science, which we do all together, little kids history, which we do all together, and then story time, which we all do together. And then I like to watch YouTube videos in French with them with the subtitles and also songs to practice French. And it's great practice for me too. I've learned so much through homeschooling. Through teaching, you learn so much. It's really, really an awesome thing. So I like to do that in the morning. It doesn't always happen. But generally, I try to do group time with everybody in the afternoon, and then we usually spend about 45 minutes to an hour together. And then my high schooler, who's a junior this year, she just spends 30 minutes with us because she's totally working on her own. I don't do hardly anything with her besides just check in every once in a while, make sure she has good curriculum and that she is doing it, making progress. But she's doing great, and that's such a relief because I don't have to worry about her too much. And then my 10th grader and my 8th grader, I have them watch a lecture from the teaching company. We're doing History of Freedom, which is an awesome, awesome course. And we do that twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week, usually just twice. And then they're doing one of their choice. They're doing some physics problems thing that they like. And they really liked mind-bending math. And then I've got my lecture book. So for the one that's their choice, I just let them watch it. I don't make them take notes. The one that's History of Freedom that I think is really important, that I want them to really grasp, I try to watch it with them. I don't always, but I try to watch it with them as much as I can. And then they have their lecture series notebooks where they're supposed to be taking notes and write down 3 interesting facts. And then we talk about those at the end, just to make sure that they're taking it in and understanding what's being said. So that's what the older boys do. And then, of course, they're responsible to practice the piano and get all their other stuff done, including chores, the animals, washing dishes, helping with the laundry when it's their turn, watering their gardens. It's so great to have summer. We had such a long rainy winter, and it's just great to have summer. And some of their plants are coming up, and it's great. And then, let's see. Okay, and then for the little boys, then I take time and I sit with them while they read to me. And I read along with them. And when they get stuck, I help them. And when they say the word wrong, I help them. And I help them sound out. And so it's been really nice, because when I started that, my twins were just going to start to really, we were going to do reading had they not gone to French school. So I cut back on anything that I did at home, because when they went to school, especially with it all being in French every day, it was just a lot, and it was too much for them to really do anything else. And I wanted them to have some downtime to just, play around and relax. And they had a good year. And they learned how to read French. And I did help them with their French homework. But they didn't speak French real well, and they didn't know how to read English. So they could read French, but they didn't know how to read English. Fortunately, before they went to school, they did learn how to sound out words. So they were able to read a little bit, just not really well, not enough to read chapter books. So when school was finally over, then it was time to really focus on them learning how to read, which means that they needed a lot of one-on-one time with me, sitting there with them, paying attention and helping them. And so we do the Ordinary Parent's Guide to Teaching Reading, which you can see on my website, educationalpursuits.org. I have a whole post on how to teach reading. And then they were doing Bob books, but they finished those. They passed those. So I do Ordinary Parent's Guide to Teaching Reading to actually my 3 youngest. My 5-year-old also, he started doing that every day. And then McGuffey, they read 1 chapter of McGuffey. And then one of the twins is reading chapter books by himself, and he's totally on his way to reading. And so that's all I have to do with him now, which is really nice. But I had to spend 30 to 45 minutes each, I would say, minimum of 20 minutes each, to get through the lessons that they needed to do. And I had them reading quite a bit more than I do my little 5-year-old, because they were already 7. And most of my kids were reading chapter books by 7. So they were a little bit slower, but it's because, of course, they were doing French. So anyway, so it is nice, because now we're down to about 10 minutes each. One of them is really fast, because he's doing chapter books on his own. The other one, we're reading a chapter book together, so I'm reading 1 page, and then he reads 1 page. Well, he reads 1 page, then I read 1 page. Then he reads 1 page, then I read 1 page, so we can get through it. And so he's really close to reading chapter books, too. And it's so rewarding when they can read really well. So nice. He's definitely doing much, much better. And so then I'll start them, once they're reading chapter books pretty well, I'll start them on spelling. And they're doing really, really well with their math right now. And then the 5-year-old, I have to sit with him, and he takes about 15 minutes of me sitting with him to get him to finish his work, which is just tracing stuff at this point. But that's what he needs. So it's starting to get cold out here. It's 10 to 9. Summer is so great. It's still light outside, but the wind's coming in, and it's a little bit chilly. So I'm going to wrap it up here. But that's basically it. So I try to basically our organization for this time is to have everybody get their stuff done that they can do by themselves in the morning, as well as French lessons in the morning. And then in the afternoon, after lunch, we do group time. Oh, also around lunch, everybody goes outside for a couple hours, 2 hours. So instead of rest time now, we have outside time, because I don't have to take a nap. So, and they're not little, they're bigger. So I don't have to go out with them. It's safe for them to go outside and play by themselves. Whereas when they were little, we needed to have rest time. And it's really good. It's important to work in those breaks. Otherwise, you really would get burned out. And you have to watch that burn out. And then, another thing that I found helpful is to do school for 6 weeks, take a week off, or 5 weeks, take a week off. But you do need breaks, and they're very important. Otherwise, you just get burned out. You can only do stuff for so long. 4-day weeks worked really well for us for a while when we didn't have a lot of material that we needed to cover. Now we're doing 5 days a week because that seems to work better. And then, so after outside time, then it's group time where we read out loud, we memorize scriptures, we work on poems, we do read just lots of different things. And then they do their lectures, and then we all finish up whatever it is we need to finish up. And then, depending on the time, right now, we are in really late mode because it's so light out. So it's really hard to go to bed early, and we've been watching Survivor at night. The kids, we're all into it. We're really enjoying it. But so we're on a late schedule. So we don't eat breakfast probably till 9 usually, and then lunch is at 1 or 2, and then group time is at 3, and then so I don't get started on dinner till like 6. And I try to do my house cleaning and my projects in the morning when everybody's doing their individual stuff. I also try to do as much with the little kids in the morning as I can so that I can have the evening and the afternoon free. And everybody has chores to help with the house. The thing that has helped the most as far as the house goes is to assign everybody a zone. So you're not just responsible to clean up after yourself, you're responsible to clean up a whole area, a certain area, and it's well defined, and you have to clean up stuff even if it's not yours, because the point is to get it clean, not to just pick up 5 things. 5-minute pickups have been helpful over the years. I assign kids to wash the number of dishes as they are old. Whenever there's a lot of dish, and then, if there's not a lot of dishes, then I'll just be like, okay, everybody just wash 5, or if there's more, everybody just wash 10. And then, everybody helps at the table. I would like to start having them make dinner more, but I keep changing our diet, so that makes it difficult. But I do keep meals simple. I just bought an electric pressure cooker. I'm super excited because that will save me a lot of time. I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, more than I should. But I do enjoy listening to audiobooks and podcasts. I could not do that when my twins were babies. There was just too much going on. I wasn't sleeping, and I really missed it. So when the twins were about 3 or 4, I started to get my life back. And I started listening to audiobooks, and now I listen to tons of podcasts, which is why I'm making a podcast, because I love it. They've been really helpful for me. So that's basically the schedule that we've done that I've found to be helpful. Oh, when we bring in the groceries, everybody helps. I do the grocery shopping, then they put the food away. And I'll say, okay, each of you put away a whole bag of food. And if there's still some left, okay, everybody put away 10 things. Same with laundry. I try to sort that out, and then everybody puts their pile away. It just doesn't seem to work to have them fold it. Sometimes it works if they really want to play video games, but it's kind of an extra job. And then on Saturdays, everybody has Saturday jobs. So everybody has like a bathroom or a hallway. Their rooms need to be vacuumed and swept once a week. And then we'll have like some project that we need to do too. And then they take care of the sheep and animals, and they take care of the cat. I don't do anything for the animals, and I haven't. When we had chickens and a goat years ago, when my oldest was 10, she took care of the cat, she took care of the dog, she took care of the chickens. I mean, these kids can do a lot, and taking care of animals is, I think, better even than cleaning your room, because that's for yourself. And when you take care of animals, like, it has to be done, and you can see that it's a problem if you don't do it. and you're doing something outside of yourself that helps something else. And so that's been a really good thing. And spending time outside as much as you can. You know, it's harder to do that in the winter, especially when it's just raining. But when we lived in New Hampshire, I don't remember so much when we lived in Utah. I think it's because the kids were so much smaller. But in New Hampshire, we went sledding a lot, and we went skiing once a week. And so it's great to get outside, even when it's cold. I mean, you just have to. So that is that. I also have the older kids specifically exercise. They need to get into that habit. That's been a great habit for me over the years. I always feel like 10 times better when I exercise. And then I just feel more grounded, and like that's kind of like my time. Like if I can have that 30 minutes to exercise, take a shower. And of course, that was not the case when I had little babies. So you have to definitely make it work for you. And I didn't always get a shower when I had babies. But I do now, and I did before I had babies. So there's always hope. But anyway, it's a great thing. And my kids have lots of happy memories. They were talking about burning leaves with a magnifying glass today. So I hope this is helpful for you. Just and maybe it just gives you some insight into how it can work, how you can get everything done, and how you can like stay home with your kids all day. How do you do that? I've been asked that before. Like, how do you stand having your kids home all day? Well, you're organized and you have things for them to do. They're not just running around. And you make sure that you have time to get what you need done. And, you know, when I was pregnant with the twins, my kids watched a lot of TV. But we got all the signing time videos, and they watched a lot of Magic School Bus, and they watched Liberty's Kids. So they were learning at the same time, and documentaries too. And so, you know, you just have to do what works, and you're going to be doing different things at different times. And one of the best things for me to realize is, you know, there is all this stuff that I want them to learn. There are all these things that I want to do, but we don't have to do it all today. Everything has its season and its time and stuff. So now I'm really, really cold and I'm going to go watch Survivor. So thank you for listening. I hope it's helpful. Feel free to leave a comment. Find me on Instagram at Educational Pursuits. I think that's what I am, or Ed Pursuits. Or go to my website, educationalpursuits.org. And can find me on Facebook, Amber Semerow. My name's not the easiest thing to spell. But anyway, connect with me. I'd love to hear from you. And thanks for listening. Till next time. Bye.